Welcome back to WION World as One. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Hemkaur Saroya and here's what we've lined up for you on Speed News today. Hundreds of Syrian Kurds gathered in Kamishli's streets to celebrate a groundbreaking deal between the Syrian Democratic Forces and Damascus's ruling authority. The deal signed on Monday includes a ceasefire and the integration of the US-backed SDF into the Syrian army. The crowd chanted slogans of unity as they waved Syrian PKK and SDF flags. Some protesters also carried posters of Abdullah Öcalan, the imprisoned Kurdish leader, alongside Mazloum Abdi, commander-in-chief of the Syrian Democratic Forces. The deal marks a significant milestone in Syria's path towards unity and stability. Zelensky met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah ahead of crucial talks between Ukrainian and US officials. The Crown Prince reaffirmed Saudi Arabia's support for international effort to resolve the Ukrainian crisis and achieve peace. Saudi Arabia has been playing a mediating role since Russia's invasion, facilitating prisoner exchanges and hosting talks between Moscow and Washington. The upcoming talks between the United States and Ukrainian officials are significant, being the first official session since Zelensky's explosive White House meeting with US President Donald Trump. At least 60 Ukrainian drones targeting Moscow were shot down in a massive attack this morning. The city's mayor, Sergei Sobyanin, said flights have been restricted in and out of two Moscow airports, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky. The mayor said that no casualties have been reported, but the attack caused minor damage to the roof of a building in Moscow. The attack, the biggest one targeting Moscow in months, came on the day of US-Ukraine negotiations in Saudi Arabia. The Russian Defense Ministry said that apart from shooting down Ukrainian drones, Russia's air defenses also shot down one MiG-29 fighter and intercepted several aerial bombs and rockets. In a significant escalation in the Trump administration's pledge to detain and deport student activists, federal immigration authorities arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate student at the Columbia University who played a prominent role in the university's protests against Israel. Khalil's arrest in the first deportation effort under Trump's promised crackdown on students who joined protests against the war in Gaza. Khalil is being held at a detention facility in Louisiana while he awaits immigration court proceedings. A federal judge has issued an order preventing his deportation pending a legal review of his detention.
Hands off my students now!
Shortly after the news of Khalil's arrest, hundreds of protesters marched on the streets of New York. Students and professors at Columbia University also came out in Khalil's defense.
Hands off my students now! And people were caught in the air.
Greenland, a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, is holding parliamentary elections today, with independence a key campaign theme after US President Donald Trump said he wants to control the world's biggest island. Polls will open at 11 a.m. GMT and close at 10 p.m. GMT, and results are expected the following day. Out of Greenland's 57,000 citizens, around 40,500 are eligible to vote. Around 27,000 people voted in the last general election in 2021. Greenland became a formal territory of the Kingdom of Denmark in 1953, with Copenhagen controlling foreign affairs, defense and monetary policy. According to reports, Copenhagen fears that if voters give strong backing to the largest opposition party, a prominent pro-independence voice in support of US collaboration, Greenland could instead strengthen its ties with the United States. The Philippines government has said that the police have arrested former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte after arriving from Hong Kong at Manila's International Airport on the orders of the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court has been investigating Duterte's administration regarding alleged crimes against humanity, specifically the massive killings during his deadly crackdown on illegal drugs. The Philippines government has said that Manila office of the International Police received an official copy of the arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court, and the notice for an arrest warrant was served to the former president. Hundreds of Serbian students blocked the entrance to the Serbian TV station RTS in Belgrade, blowing whistles and sounding horns as part of the ongoing protests in Serbia that have gripped the country for the past 4 months. Serbian students accused the public TV channels of biased reporting and siding with the government and President Alexander Vučić for the duration of the demonstrations. Police and riot gear were seen entering the building as protesters plan to stay there for the next 24 hours. Serbian students are leading mass protests demanding responsibility after deadly canopy collapse at the train station, which killed 15 students on the 1st of November 2024. Authorities in Washington, D.C. have started work to dismantle the iconic Black Lives Matter mural near the White House. In 2020, the artwork was painted on a symbolic 2-block stretch of the 16th Street near the White House when protests broke out across the United States, following the police killing of an unarmed black citizen, George Floyd. Last week, Mayor Muriel Bowser announced plans to replace the mural after Republican lawmakers threatened to revoke millions of dollars in transportation funding for the capital city if it wasn't removed. The anti-racism protests had put the spotlight on police violence against blacks and minorities in America. The mural had served as a powerful statement of solidarity, calling for an end to racial injustice. Australian police have charged 14 members of an organised crime ring for perpetrating attacks disguised as religiously motivated hate crimes. These attacks have been targeting Jewish neighbourhoods in Sydney, with incidents including synagogues vandalised with anti-Semitic graffiti, buildings firebombed and cars torched by vandals. Now, doctors treating Pope Francis have stated that there is no longer fear for his life due to pneumonia. The Vatican says doctors have lifted their previous guarded prognosis and the Pope will continue to receive treatment in hospital for several more days. The 88-year-old Pope has been hospitalized since the 14th of February. Doctors say his condition is now stabilized and has shown consolidated improvements in recent days as determined by blood tests and positive responses to drug treatments. In a sign of his improved health, Pope Francis participated in the Vatican's week-long spiritual retreat via video conference on Monday, attending both morning and afternoon sessions. Meanwhile, the Vatican held its nightly rosary prayers for Pope Francis as it was announced that the pontiff was no longer in imminent danger.
Del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
Entrando da lei disse: rallegra.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia.
Como è in cielo così in terra.
South Korea's acting President Choi Sang-mok has said that the US President Donald Trump's America First policies had started targeting the country. Choi said discussions with the United States over tariff measures and stronger cooperation on energy and shipbuilding were beginning ahead of reciprocal tariffs set to take effect on the 2nd of April. The US President announced a global regime of reciprocal tariffs on all US trading partners from the 2nd of April. South Korea's acting president said that Trump has threatened to impose all-out pressure on South Korea, referring to the US president's comments to Congress where he singled out the key US-Asia ally for applying high tariffs. In a unique approach to managing inflation, Indonesia's central bank has partnered with Muslim clerics to preach against overconsumption during Ramadan. The initiative aims to stabilize prices in a country with a history of runaway inflation. Bank officials led a sermon in a remote West Java town, emphasizing the importance of wise spending habits. Islamic clerics, highly influential in Indonesia's rural areas, were directed to disseminate this message to their communities. Indonesia's inflation in 2024 was 1.57%, near the lower end of Bank of Indonesia's target range, while West Java's rate was 1.64%. Inflation has dropped further in the first 2 months of 2025 due to large increase in subsidies for electricity prices, while economists predicted inflation will remain within Bank Indonesia's 1.5% to 3.5% target range this year. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a ceremonial guard of honor in Mauritius as he kick-started a 2-day state visit. The visit, at the invitation of Mauritius Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, is primarily to take part in the National Day celebrations of the island nation. Prime Minister Modi will attend the National Day celebrations as chief guest tomorrow. A contingent of the Indian Armed Forces will participate in the celebrations along with the warship of the Indian Navy and the Akash Ganga skydiving team of the Indian Air Force. Prime Minister Modi has emphasized that the visit would open a new and bright chapter in the ties between the two nations. US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard will visit India as part of a multinational trip to the Indo-Pacific. She said she is undertaking the visit with the aim of building strong relationships and open lines of communication to achieve President Donald Trump's objectives of peace and freedom. This will be Gabbard's first trip to India after taking over as the 8th Senate-confirmed and first female combat veteran Director of National Intelligence in the second Trump administration. Oil prices fell for a second day in early trade on worries that US tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China would slow economies around the world and hurt energy demand while OPEC Plus ramps up its supply. Brent futures fell to $68.99 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell to as much as $65 a barrel. US President Donald Trump's protectionist policies have roiled markets across the world, with Trump imposing and then delaying tariffs on his country's biggest oil suppliers, Canada and Mexico, while also raising duties on Chinese goods. China and Canada responded with tariffs of their own. The yen was investors' safe harbor of choice on Tuesday, and it traded near 5-month highs as fears about a tariff-driven slowdown in U.S. growth have rattled U.S. stocks and the dollar. Other moves in the currency market were more muted, but the lack of fight to the dollar, which has been sinking in recent weeks, was noteworthy. There were falls in the Canadian dollar and Mexican peso, the economies whose exports are to bear the brunt of the U.S. tariffs, but they were modest. Goldman Sachs said hedge funds unwound positions in single stocks in the largest amount in over 2 years, with some activity comparable to March 2020 when portfolio managers cut market exposure during the pandemic. Goldman Sachs saw a risk-off trend in 10 of the 11 global sectors, mainly in industrial. The risk-off trend was seen across all regions, but mainly in the US. The move is significant for U.S. major stock indices, which plummeted on Monday, with the Nasdaq down 4%, amid fears that Donald Trump's tariff policy will drive the world's largest economy into a recession. Elon Musk said he was running his business with great difficulty while working with the Trump administration. His remarks followed Tesla losing $130 billion in stock market value in a broad sell-off on Wall Street that left the electric car maker's shares at their lowest since October. Monday's losses evaporated, the last of a Tesla rally late last year that nearly doubled its stock following the November 5th election of U.S. President Donald Trump. That surge was fueled by optimism that Tesla would benefit from Musk's close relationship with Trump. Investors in Tesla have been concerned that Musk's work leading the Department of Government Efficiency to slash government expenditure was distracting him from running his companies, which includes Tesla, SpaceX, X and XAI.